governments may have to consider stronger safety nets and, eventually, universal basic income. At the same time, technology is being misused by terrorists and for sexual exploitation and abuse. Organized criminal networks lurk on the dark web, profiting from encryption and near-anonymous cryptocurrency payments to traffic in people and illegal goods. Some reports estimate that cybercrime is now putting $1.5 trillion in the pockets of cybercriminals annually. And malicious acts in cyberspace, such as disinformation campaigns, are polarizing communities and diminishing trust among states. And more people are getting their information from news or social media feeds that echo their views, reinforce tribalism, and assure people that they are right and the other side is wrong. And the digital revolution is also being used to discriminate against women and reinforce our male-dominated culture. Indeed, there is a deep gender gap in access to digital technologies, widening the digital divide. We must dismantle obstacles and create opportunities for women, ensuring equality and change online and toxic corporate cultures. The technology sector must open up and become more diverse, not least for its own benefit. With technology outracing institutions, cooperation between countries and among stakeholders will be crucial, including member states, the private sector, research centers, civil society, and academia. There are many mutually beneficial solutions for digital challenges. We need urgently to find a way to apply them. At the United Nations, we are harnessing technologies in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are creating innovation labs, including in my office. And in July, I established a high-level panel on digital cooperation that met yesterday, and that is a dialogue platform for all key actors. Excellencies, the impacts of new technologies on warfare are a direct threat to our common responsibility to guarantee peace and security. The weaponization of artificial intelligence is a growing concern. The prospect of weapons that can select and attack a target on their own raises multiple alarms and could trigger new arms races. Diminished oversight of weapons has implications for our efforts to contain threats, to prevent escalation, and to adhere to international humanitarian and human rights law. And let's call it as it is. The prospect of machines with the discretion and power to take human life is morally repugnant. Heaven forbid, any new war could very well include a massive cyber attack, not only targeting military capacities, but also critical civilian infrastructure. I'm encouraged by the 10 possible guiding principles elaborated in Geneva last month by the group of governmental experts on lethal autonomous weapons system. More work on these issues aimed at building trust between and within nations will be needed if we are to ensure the responsible use of new technologies. And I urge you to use the United Nations as a platform to draw global attention to these crucial matters and to nurture a digital future that is safe and beneficial for all. Excellencies, despite the chaos and confusion in our world, I see winds of hope blowing around the globe. Just days ago, I witnessed the signing of a historic peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea in Saudi Arabia. Soon after, the presidents of Djibouti and Eritrea met in Jeddah to launch a peace process. Eritrea and Somalia have established diplomatic relations. And in the same region, in the context of a summit of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, the two rival leaders in South Sudan have finally signed a peace agreement. I'm hopeful that these efforts will continue to be consolidated so that the people of the Horn of Africa can finally turn the page on war and conflict. The courageous initiative of the Singapore Summit between the leaders of the United States and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, along with the recent meeting of the two Korean leaders in Pyongyang, offers hope for the possibility of a full and verifiable denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in a context of regional security. In my recent visit to Colombia, I was impressed by the people's strong commitment to peace, now reaffirmed by President Duque. In Central Asia, I personally witnessed strengthened cooperation among states after Uzbekistan went through a peaceful political transition. Greece and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia have taken a major step towards resolving their differences. Our peacekeeping mission in Liberia ended a decade and a half of work this year following the country's first peaceful democratic transition, adding to peacekeeping successes elsewhere in West Africa. The approval of a compact on refugees and another on migration represents signs of hope, even if there is still a long way to go to reconcile full respect for the rights of people on the move with the legitimate interests of states. Hundreds of millions of people have been lifted out of extreme poverty across the world the past 3 decades, and we averted looming famine in the 4 countries impacted in the past 2 years. Armenia's young people were at the heart of the country's peaceful political transition earlier this year, showing the potential of youth to use their voice to advance democracy. And the drive for gender equality is gaining ground amid a growing awareness of pervasive discrimination against women and girls, from violence, harassment and exploitation to unequal pay and exclusion from decision-making. The United Nations must lead the way in pursuit of gender equality. For the first time in the United Nations history, there is full parity in our senior management group and among resident coordinators leading country teams around the world. And we are firmly committed to equality and empowerment everywhere. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as our Secretary-General Kofi Annan once reminded us, we share, I'm quoting, a common destiny. We can master it only if we face it together. And that, my friends, is why we have the United Nations. End of quote. Our future rests on solidarity. We must repair broken trust. We must reinvigorate our multilateral project. And we must uphold dignity for one and for all. Thank you very much.